Hello! I am Shaggy, I am Phil Aletea, and my voice is shot. And that's okay, that's a good thing. I am going to talk to you today about the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles game, the opening salvo on last night, Thursday the 4th, was that? Uh, you're not going to be watching this in the future, but yeah, Thursday the 4th of 2025. That was actually a really good game of football. It opened with 7 or 8 straight scoring drives. Really, really good game of football. But I don't actually want to talk about the play-by-play or the game. I just want to talk quickly about my impressions of the game because one game can mean nothing, but this game might have very, very long-lasting ramifications for both teams. I want to just begin. The way I like to talk about football is I like to work positions forward, and I like to talk about the coaches, and I like to talk about the scheme and the game plan as far as what I saw. I only watched the game once, and I only watched it live. If you really like these, you can hit up my Patreon to let me know that you want even more in-depth, and you want me to watch them closer, you want me to show you what I'm seeing, these sorts of things, because I'm sure I could figure out how to make all of that happen for you. But I want to start with the Cowboys because the Cowboys did lose 20-24, and they should have won this game. That's why I want to begin with them because they're the bigger story in my mind. I'm not a journalist, and I'm not really going to tell the story of the game, but I am going to narrate what I saw. And so, as far as the story of what I saw and narrating that, the Cowboys were the more interesting team. They're the team that has a new head coach, and they're the team that traded their star pass rusher away before the game sometime. So we're going to start, rather than at Brian Schottenheimer, we're going to talk about Dak Prescott, because he was either off the entire game, every throw that I watched of the game, and I got to be honest, I missed the first 2 drives because I was reading Tristan versus Isolt for the channel, and football is kind of a time sink. My subscribing audience, as far as my Patreon, my members here on YouTube, they're not particularly interested in sports. And so this is more of a philosophy for the football fan than it is football for the jock, okay? So Dak Prescott took a nasty illegal shot to the right side of his head and face by the left defensive end of the Eagles. And he wedged his head way back on his neck with his face mask. He pushed Dak Prescott's face mask and wedged his head way back on his neck for the whole motion of his throw early in the game, maybe in the second quarter, early-ish in the game. And I don't know if that is why Dak was slow on all of his throws came out on time. All of it looked good, but every throw died. None of his throws had velocity for the whole game. Even that rollout, he rolls out left and he throws the ball to the end zone. It was covered, yeah, but it was a catchable ball. If it hadn't died, it died on the way. So Dak either doesn't know that his arm has no juice in it anymore, or he hurt his shoulder on that throw. He hurt his neck and his shoulder, and he couldn't get any juice in it. But I was also watching his footwork after that, and he doesn't drive with his right leg. He doesn't press off with his right leg, and he doesn't pivot at the hip when he throws. So his throwing motion is all fucked up. And I don't know if it's that his throwing motion is fucked up because he's got a new head coach that doesn't make any sense, or if his throwing motion is fucked up because his legs are fucked up from all those injuries and that back injury. So if his throwing motion is fucked up because of long injuries, the Dallas Cowboys have no choice but to spend one of those first-round draft picks next season that they got for Micah Parsons. They have no choice but to spend it on a quarterback. They have no choice but to spend a high draft pick, first 3 rounds, but first round on a quarterback, no matter where they finish. They're going to have to use all of that draft capital to get a quarterback, and I don't know why. They just signed Dak. But that was kind of what Jerry meant when he said, I signed these guys to big contracts, and then their careers are over after. It's not their fault. They're not trying to get hurt. But he's also like, I got to be a smart business person and recognize that these guys, when they get hurt and I pay them for past performance, I'm not going to get future performance out of it. It's a bad investment. It's a bad deal. Paying these players max contracts is a bad investment, and it is a bad deal. And now it makes sense for the quarterbacks. It makes sense for the players, especially the guys who didn't come into the league with high draft status. But, coming into the league without high draft status and working your tail off, and then not taking the maximum is in the NFL. It is a point of pride. There is a status that comes with that. That's why Purdy didn't take the max. That's why Brady didn't take the max. That's not taking the max. There's a because the NFL is more team oriented than the NBA. There's a pat yourself on the back. You made sure that somebody else on your team or somebody that isn't on your team yet was able to get paid because you took less than the max. And so even Chris Collinsworth, when they were talking about the trade, Chris Collinsworth even said that this was actually good for the Cowboys because having more than 50% of your cap space tied up in 3 players like the Cowboys would have had with Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons, if they had done that, they wouldn't have been able to be competitive. And so now he can go out into the secondary. Free agent market, and he can flesh out a team now, and he can have a rotation at defensive end if he wants for a fraction, pennies on the price. Just like the Eagles right now, their middle linebacker Zach Bond was paying for pennies on the dollar at the position, but he was the best player in the league. I don't know what his contract is, and we're not talking about the Eagles yet. But Dak has no velocity on his throws. He can't get the ball to the edge before the corner can react to it. That's bad. Now, that might just be new offense, new head coach asking him to do something different than what Mike McCarthy was asking him to do or other head coaches have asked him to do. It could be it could be a combination of a lot of different things that could lead to him being hesitant with the trigger and not fitting the ball where it needs to be. But that last 3 drives, they should have scored on that last 3 drives, but Dak couldn't fit the ball where it needed to be. And his receiver, CeeDee Lamb, had like 4 drops on those final 3 drives that absolutely killed that team. Kenny Pickens came up big, though. Not Kenny Pickens. George Pickens came up really, really tight on that final drive. Came up clutch because he's a hands receiver, so he catches the ball out in front of him. That was a big deal. The wide receivers are not going to be a problem for the Cowboys, but Collinsworth was right. That team, the wide receivers are going to have to win these games because Miles Sanders is a Cowboy and not an Eagle for a reason, and it's because he puts the ball on the ground. And the Cowboys' tight end isn't good enough. They need to quickly find somebody with hands, soft hands, to play in the fourth quarter and on third downs, because they don't have that right now, and it's going to kill them down the stretch. But the offense played well enough to win that game until the final 4 drives, and they beat themselves. The Cowboys beat themselves, and this is where I want to talk about Brian Schottenheimer a little bit. The play calling for the Cowboys was fine. I thought the scheme was great for the offense. I thought the offensive scheme was great. They were running the ball really well. Then Miles Sanders puts the ball on the ground. And in Brian Schottenheimer's head, he goes, okay, I need to go into damage control because I need to be able to tell my fans and my owner that this is a teaching moment game. And he shouldn't have gone into damage control because his defense got 2 3-and-outs, back-to-back 3-and-outs. He shouldn't have gone into damage control. He had 3 minutes on the clock. He could have still continued running the ball, but he didn't. The first half was it was a song. It was a poem in head coaching, knowing what they're doing, especially that field goal to end the half, and then giving up with 2 minutes left in the game. 17 minutes left in the game. 2 minutes left in the third quarter is what a coach who's used to 1980s ball. So when you guys old school guys want to talk about, the game's different. Back in the day, they didn't try to win against superior opponents. You didn't try to win against superior opponents. And so Brian Schottenheimer, he just decided that it was better for his team to lose this game so they could go in the film room and fix what was wrong than to play the game. And so he should have just kept pounding the rock. The left side of his offense was winning. Defenses are right-handed, and the left side of his offense was winning in the run game. He should have just kept pounding the rock. Fine, if you don't trust Miles, put somebody else in there, but you got to keep pounding the rock. And they gave up on the rock, so when it came time for Dak to go deep at the end of the game, it was all covered, and he didn't have the arm strength anyway. So the Cowboys should have won that game. Their second half adjustment on defense was perfect. They couldn't have stopped. They were a leaky sieve. They couldn't have stopped me. Playing quarterback. Jalen Hurts was running all over them. And so now we're going to talk, because I don't want to talk about the defensive unit. I want to talk about the Eagles' offense. The Eagles' offense looked like a Super Bowl winning team until you actually watch the game. The score looked like, okay, that's a team that's going to repeat, but they're not going to repeat the way they played last night. The Cowboys had no pass rush because they were respecting the Eagles receivers, and the Eagles receivers couldn't get open. And so when they started to apply pressure to Hurts at the end of the game, Hurts isn't actually good at evading pressure. If you can actually get pressure in his face, he'll take sacks, and he took a bunch of them at the end of the game. When the Cowboys defense needed to stiffen up, the Eagles receivers were nowhere to be seen. And they got a lot of money tied up in those receivers. They got a lot of fame and names tied up in those receivers. But Saquon Barkley is as advertised. That guy's a freak. He's even better this year. So he's even freakier to watch this year. He was the whole offense for the Eagles, and they're going to need him to be, because their left guard, I think it was their left guard, got concussed or got hurt real bad in that game. I didn't see what the injury was, but he got hurt real bad, and the offense completely stopped after he got hurt. And so if he's playing hurt, or they have their backup guard in at left tackle, they're going to be a leaky sieve on offense. God damn, that freaks me out every time. It's just the heat makes the bottles pop open from the air pressure. They collapse down in the cold, and then when they expand in the heat, the plastic pops, and it freaks me out every time. Jalen Hurts still isn't that good. He's still not that good a quarterback. He's still not that good a thrower. He's won a Super Bowl for sure, but the reason that in his mind he needs to get a lot better is because he's still not good enough. He's still not good enough. He still couldn't find his receivers when he needed a first down. He still had to manufacture it with his legs. And that final play of the game, that final real offensive play when he scrambles up into the middle of the defense and gets that first down that allows them to salt it to go to victory formation, he ate a concussion. He ate a 280-pound man directly to the face, bounced the back of his head off the field, and did go into fencing pose. So watch that. That's a 6-week injury. If Jalen Hurts' scattershot or his decision-making doesn't make sense when he's on the field for the next 6 weeks, it's because he was concussed. And so I'll end this show on a question. Sirianni isn't a good head coach in my opinion, and the offensive coordinator called a bad game plan for the Eagles. That's what I want to talk about for the Eagles. That's what I want to talk about for that game. And I'll leave you with a question. If you want to do philosophy, I'll leave you with a question. What's better, to have a quarterback who's making crazy decisions because he's concussed and his brain is injured, and so he's not thinking properly, and he's scattershot because his eyes aren't triangulating properly, or whoever the backup is? What's worse, going 6 weeks without your starter while his brain gets better and while he's playing poorly because his brain is injured, or just whoever the backup is? Which is worse? Thank you for watching. I am Shaggy. I am Filalitea. This has been Philosophy for the Football Fan, Week 1, Episode 1, Dallas Cowboys at Philadelphia Eagles. This program is as yet unsponsored, so if you want your names to be mentioned at the end of this program, where I go like I do with my lives, where I say, this program was brought to you by these Patreon subscribers. If you want that to happen, you can find my Patreon information in the description of this video or in my profile. If you would like to join the Discord, and have conversations with the people that come to these videos of all walks of life and all worlds of interest, you can find that link through the Patreon as well. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for enduring this temporary setup. It's temporary so long as I don't have $2,000 a month coming in via YouTube or Patreon. And you can make both of those happen faster with your subscription, your membership, and your super like. Thank you very much for being here. This is all I've ever wanted. And you make it possible. So thank you very much. Gina, my sub Gina, did send me $5 and ask me to do this. So this video, not this program, but this video is brought to you by Gina. Thank you, Gina. Y'all have a great one.